Now it is time to paint the frosting for your cupcakes. To do this, we are going to be using only tints because we want our frosting to be very, very light in color, like frosting usually is. And so you will use the color white, and you will use a color for each cupcake. I think that you should make each of your cupcakes a different color, but it's going to be a very, very light tint of that color each time. So I'm going to send you off to the supply table to get some supplies. Take a look and see what you're going to need, and then pause and go get your stuff. When you come to the supply table for the paint that you're going to need to paint your frosting, you will not be needing the black because we are not making a shade, but go ahead and leave it in the cup. You'll just have to remember not to use it. You will need to pick one color at a time for your frosting. I think that I will make my first frosting pink, and of course you'll need a mixing tray. And this time I want you to use a little bit of a bigger brush because your frosting is a lot bigger than those tiny little stripes on your cupcake cup. So when you leave the supply table, you'll have a collection of things that look something like this. Once you have gotten the things that you need back to your seat, we are going to make a very, very light tint for the first color of your cupcake frosting. To make a very, very light tint means that we are going to need a lot of white. So I'm going to take a big old scoop of white paint and I'm going to put it into one of the cups in my mixing tray. Now we need a lot of white, but we don't actually need a lot of paint total because this isn't a very large thing that we're painting. But I do know that I'm going to need a lot of white and just a little tiny bit of the color. Little tiny bit. You see how little that is? Now when I stir this together, I'm going to get a very pale pink, very, very light. Oh, that looks like some frosting I would definitely love to eat. When the color looks right to you, start painting. Now I've let you use a larger brush for this because the frosting area is a little bit larger. We're going to paint the whole frosting all one color, so you can just go right across those lines. You should be able to see the lines a little bit through the paint because we need to trace those later. Because remember, one of the things that Wayne Thiebaud did very often in his artwork is he had outlines around things. And so we need to be able to see those pencil lines right in there for later on when we trace those. Do your best job of painting, though. Stay inside the lines. Go all the way to the lines. Please make sure the whole area is painted and you don't have any white spots showing through. When you're finished with the first cupcake, then you're going to change colors. That means that I'm going to take this pink back and I'm going to trade it in for something else. I'm going to keep my mixing tray, but my brush is dirty, so I have to get a new brush too. I'm going to press pause and go get those things. Here I am, back. I've got my new color and I've got my clean brush. I'm going to do the very same thing for my second cupcake. Start with a big helping of white and a teeny tiny helping of color. Itty bitty, see that? Hardly any. Stir it up together and get a very pale pink, not pink, a very pale purple for me. You might not be using purple right now. Whatever color you're using, it should be very, very light. And I'm going to paint that one. Again, make sure you can still see the pencil lines. If you can't, it means that you probably need to spread your paint out a little bit. It might be a little bit too thick. Also make sure you paint all the space inside the frosting. Don't leave any white specks showing. No white allowed. Okay, when you're finished with the second one, repeat everything for the third one. New paint color, new brush. I am back with my new color, my new brush, and I'm going to do this one more time. One more big scoop of white, one more teeny helping of color, stir it together, and paint that cupcake frosting. When you have finished all 3 of your frostings, then you need to show the teacher so she can check you off.